Hi Maths, welcome back. It is so good to be with you today. So Maths, today we are going to be continuing to talk about the characters in the books that we're reading. And we're going to use Abuela's Weave and Listen Buddy as our mentor text to kind of refer back to help us understand some of the specific ways that characters change. So today we're specifically focusing on the lessons that these characters learn. So go ahead and pull your bow and arrow back, way back on 2. 1, 2. I can notice when a character learns a lesson and how the lesson relates to her own life. Whew. So today we're going to be reading 2 books, and we're going to think about, and it could be his or her own life, and we're just going to talk about what that lesson is and maybe those connections that you can make to yourself. So I'm going to read a few pages of Listen Buddy. And as we read today, I want you to think about Buddy at the beginning of the story and then again at the end of the story. All right, let's dig in. All right. Buddy's mother had big, beautiful teeth. She was a great chomper. Buddy had big, beautiful ears. It didn't matter. When Buddy's parents sent him to the vegetable stand to get a basket of squash, he came home with a basket of wash. When they asked him to buy 15 tomatoes, he came home with 50 potatoes. Buddy's father said, "Listen, Buddy, will you please bring me a pen?" "Who?" asked Buddy. "You," said his father. "Will you please bring me a pen?" "A what?" asked Buddy. "A pen," said his father. "Will you please bring me a pen?" "Sure," said Buddy. Buddy's father said, "Listen, Buddy." And then we're going to skip, and if you remember, his parents sent him on an errand, and Buddy had forgotten his parents' warning about the scruffy varmint. He asked eagerly, "May I help?" The scruffy varmint was not fond of having company, but with help, he'd have his soup sooner. So he said, "All right, Bunny Rabbit, come help me gather firewood." So little Buddy is in kind of a predicament. So, of course, there's miscommunication galore. Bunny put the soup in the fire. And here we go at the end of the book. The fire went. So did Scruffy Varmint. "I'll teach you," he howled. "I will have soup. Bunny Rabbit soup. And I know just the bunny to use. The bunny rabbit who never listens." Bunny listened. He also hopped very, very, very fast, faster than he had ever hopped in his life. He whizzed up the road, past the vegetable stand, and into the safety of his house. And a little later, when Buddy's parents asked him to bring a pen and a slice of bread, Buddy listened. So, now, think about this story, right? Let's talk about Buddy at the beginning of the story, and I want you to think about how Buddy was at the end of the story. So, how did Buddy learn a lesson? How did he learn a lesson in this story? Think aloud, right? You might say that Buddy learned a lesson by listening, right? When he found what actually can happen when you don't listen, he finally understood what it meant to listen. So what lesson did Buddy learn? Yes, Buddy learned to listen, right? So if we think about Buddy, and we know that sometimes characters learn a lesson in the story, what did Buddy learn? Buddy learns how to listen carefully, right? And that is something that's a great lesson for all second graders and grown-ups too, right? Because listening carefully is a skill that you have to really focus on so that you can do a good job. Because grown-ups and children can both sometimes be prone to not really listen. So now we're going to turn to the next book, Abuela's Weave, and we're going to share that story just on our screen here. Okay. So if you think about this story about Esperanza, so I want you to think about the lesson that she learns, and I'm just going to read this page aloud. It says that people turned from the commercial stalls to stand before Esperanza's complex weaving. When she looked up, Esperanza saw Abuela with a smile across her birthmarked face. It didn't take long for all of their work to be sold that day. The people were disappointed when all was gone, but Esperanza promised to return with new things the following month. So, Mavs, if you think about the change and the learning that Esperanza experienced by being successful, right, and turning maybe her negative thinking into positive appreciation, what lesson did Esperanza learn in this story? Keep thinking, and I want you to say your lesson out loud so that I can hear your great thinking. Oh yes, great jobs, Mavs. Esperanza learns to appreciate and to be confident about her beautiful weaving. Okay? And she learns that because she experiences success when her grandma leaves her to be independent, right, and learning and selling all of her great weaving on her own. So Maps, here's your thinking for now. When you read today, when you have your independent reading time, I really want you to think about the lessons that Buddy learned and that Esperanza learned. Okay, and I want you to think about, could one or both of these lessons be useful in your life? Do you think that you can learn to be a more careful listener and to understand the importance of being a great listener? And with Abuela's weave, do you think that you can have confidence in yourself and believing in your ability to be successful? Could either of these messages or lessons be useful in your life? Maybe. I want you to think about that. And today, as you read, I want you to think about the chart that we created. And I want you to try to find a fictional book today. And I want you to think about, did the character learn a lesson from the beginning of the book to the end of the book? And if you're reading a chapter book, maybe you can think about in this chapter that I'm reading, did any of my characters learn a lesson? And if they did, what was that lesson? And if you want to even challenge yourself more, how can you connect the lesson that your character learned to your own personal life? Is this a lesson that you can also benefit from as well? Think about it, Matt. All right, Matt, it was great being with you. I'm excited to hear about the books that you read today and about the lessons that your characters learn and whether they are useful or not in your own life. Till next time, Matt. Happy reading!